the Corporation of London delivers radical new strategies to improve conditions for pedestrians in the square mile, I thought I'd see how joined up the historic walking routes, the alleys and passages actually are. This video shows a route that begins in the west and takes you right across the City of London using this medieval infrastructure, low traffic streets and a few new public spaces like Paternoster Square behind me, which have been created over the last 20 years or so. The walk takes approximately 45 minutes. So we start at Chichester Rents, which you can access from Fleet Street. These are thus named because it is on land once owned by the Bishop of Chichester. This is a very pleasant new addition designed by ORMS architects, but be aware that the gates are closed at the weekends. Then we go across Chancery Lane, which forms the western boundary of the City of London, and go into Bream's Buildings, a street cut through in 1882 and made up of late Victorian buildings and some more modern additions. We go past the offices of YRM, a leading firm of architects in the 1960s and 70s. And not many architects get a chance to build their own offices like that. We go through to Fetter Lane and then New Fetter Lane into New Street Square, a development by Land Securities designed by Bennett's Associates. Go diagonally across the square and then you can take a little detour into Gough Square. In number 17, Dr. Johnson compiled his famous Dictionary of the English Language. From there you go into Wine Office Court, so named because this is where the vintners' licences were granted in the 16th century. And then walk along the back of Peterborough Court, which is the old home of Goldman Sachs, then into Shoe Lane, past the statue entitled Resolution by Anthony Gormley, and down Stonecutter Street by the side of Goldman Sachs' new building, designed by Cone Pedersen Fox. You cross Farringdon Street and then make your way up the steps or use the lift to Fleet Place, a development by Rosehorse Stanhope in the late 1980s, designed by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and then into Limeburner Lane, which used to be called Seacoal Lane, but Rosehorse Stanhope didn't like the coal reference and had the name changed. Go past the new Ludgate building by Sowerbrook Hutton and then up towards the Old Bailey addition designed by Macmorran and Whitby in 1968. If you turn right you can get down to Warwick Passage, which is closed at weekends, but during the weekdays you can walk through there into Warwick Square. If you are walking at weekends, take a left, go round Old Bailey and then into Warwick Lane, where you'll find Cutlass Hall, the home of the Worshipful Company of Cutlers, as well as Stationers Hall, home of the Company of Stationers. Then go left into Paternoster Lane, past a sculptural vent shaft designed by Thomas Heatherwick. On the left is Warwick Court, designed by McCormack and Jameson, and then through towards Paternoster Square itself. On your right, you'll go past Temple Bar, one day to be the home of the Worshipful Company of Chartered Architects. You can also have a quick look at St Paul's Cathedral and then walk across the square, past Elizabeth Frink's sculpture, Shepherd and Sheep, onto Queen's Head Passage, with its very formal view through this narrow alleyway to the northern transept of St Paul's Cathedral. Carry on through to the top of Cheapside, past Jean Nouvel's One New Change, and on into Foster Lane. There are a number of alleys coming off Foster Lane, but if you take the first, more a delivery road than a medieval alleyway, it takes you through into Gutter Lane. Here you will find the Worshipful Company of Saddlers. Then walk along the back of Foster and Partners 10 Gresham Street building into Wood Street and through this modern alleyway, Compter Passage, part of the 1 Wood Street development, also designed by Fletcher Priest. The Wood Street Compter was a debtors' prison which closed in 1791. Then we go into Milk Street. A number of the streets in the city are named after the markets and occupations that they once housed. So you have Milk Street, Poultry, Honey Lane and Bread Street in this area. Russia Row then merges into Trump Street. Then walk into Lawrence Lane, which leads you up to St Lawrence Jury, which creates the southern edge of the Guildhall Yard and was rebuilt after the Great Fire by Sir Christopher Wren in 1670. In Guildhall Yard you can see the Hindu Gothic porch of 1788 by George Dance the Younger, and the rebuilt accommodation for the corporation designed by Giles Gilbert Scott in the late 1950s. Go past the Guildhall Art Gallery on the eastern side of the yard. This was designed by Richard Gilbert Scott and completed in 1999, and make your way to Basinghall Street via Guildhall Buildings, passing the NLA's city centre, where you can see a large model of the square mile with all the new and proposed developments. Then into Masons Avenue, named after the Company of Masons, which used to occupy the site. You go past the old Dr. Butler's Head pub, established in 1610. Cross Coleman Street into Great Bell Alley, which was developed by the Cloth Workers Company in 1870, and then cross Moorgate and go into Telegraph Street, Copthall Buildings, and then Copthall Avenue. Turn right into Angel Court, yet another building by Fletcher Priest. And then into Throgmalton Street, named after the 16th century diplomat Nicholas Throgmalton. And here you find Draper's Hall, the home of the Worshipful Company of Drapers. Walk along Throgmalton Street and take a left into Austin Friars, the site of a medieval friary, and here you will find the Company of Furniture Makers. Go through into Pinner's Passage to the east. The new building was designed by Fogger Associates, and then into Old Broad Street, where you can't miss the 52-storey Natwest Tower, or Tower 42 as it's called now, designed by Richard Seifert, started in 1970 but not completed until 1981. There's a little cut through past the tower which takes you into Bishopsgate. When you get to Bishopsgate, in front of you you will see number 22, designed by PLP Architects for Lipton Rogers and AXA. Cross Bishopsgate and then go under this new artwork by Alexander Belashenko, and on your right is the Leadenhall building by Roger Sturck Harbour, and then the Aviva building, originally the Commercial Union building, designed by Gollins Melvin Ward. Walk through to 30 St Mary Axe by Foster and Partners and go through the pedestrian space around the base of the Gherkin into Berry Street and into Mitre Passage, part of a development designed by Shepherd Robson for Helical. And then on to the new Aldgate Square, which was delivered as a part of the road improvements around the Aldgate area and includes a delightful cafe by Make Architects and is overlooked by St Botolph's Church, designed by George Dance the Elder in 1741. So we have walked right across the City of London, crossing a few busy streets but not having to spend any time in them. It's a delightful walk which reinforces the medieval plan of the City of London and how, even within one of the world's great financial centres, you can still enjoy the close-knit plan and fine grain of the medieval city.